You can have anything in this world, but you have to work for it.
All right, welcome you guys to the Mommy Millionaire channel. I am so excited today about my guest, Rita Catolino. And I'm excited because she has been an entrepreneur for a long time. I can't wait to hear more of her story, and I can't wait for it to inspire you guys to take action on your life. So Rita, where are you at right now? Because you're always traveling the world.
Well, thank you for having me here. I'm so excited, Cayla. I am actually in London, Ontario, Canada, which not a lot of people know where it is, but it's about 200 kilometers. We use kilometers here in Canada, but about a 2-hour drive from Toronto, Ontario. I'm in the exact same distance between Detroit, Michigan, and Toronto, Ontario. I live more on the border city of Canada, so yeah, that's where I am.
Yay! And you guys just got back from traveling, and where were you at? Italy? And
we went to Vegas, where I saw you at, and then I went right on a plane to Italy. And in Italy, we went around to the Amalfi Coast, Rome, the mountains. We did everything. And then a few days later, we went to California, and I just got back yesterday. And I'm put for a month before I'm back to Spain in Europe, because we're building a home there, so we have to check up on it. So,
ooh, that's so exciting. I'm going to go visit.
Yes, you are.
Awesome. Okay, well, so let's tell the viewers like a little bit about you. Kind of start with your story and, you know, your background and how you got started in entrepreneurship, all that kind of stuff.
God, that's a long one. You can cut me off or put me in the right direction, because I can talk forever. I'm Italian, so we have this thing where we just don't stop talking. So I was born to Italian. My father's an Italian immigrant. My mother is Italian as well, but born here in Canada to Italian parents. And they were always workhorses. So they showed my sister and I, you know, especially my dad coming from Italy with not a lot of abundance. It was always like grind, work, like everything you get in this life is because you work your tail off. So they both showed my sister and I that if anything, you can have anything in this world, but you have to work for it. There were no shortcuts. My dad doesn't believe in shortcuts. Like, he worked at Ford Motor Companies for 37 years. He never missed a day in 37 years, no matter what, come hell or high water. He used to get these little certificates with like a $50 keg, which is like a steakhouse over here, gift certificate, because he never missed a day. And my parents have done really, really well for themselves. And this is my dad, who used to, you know, line up for food stamps back home. So I think the strength over struggle has been my biggest kind of physical, tangible person in my life, who has shown me that anything you want in life, you just got to work hard for it. So I'm a mother of one. My husband and I have a daughter named Mariana. She's 10 years old. My husband is from Spain. I met him while I was traveling for school. Actually, I was doing some research. I have a degree in Spanish language and literature, of all things, which I've done nothing with, but found a husband. So it served me for something. And one of my profs in university said, "Why don't you go to Spain and do some research?" So I was doing a thesis, and so I went to Spain, and within about a month, I had met Dario, and here we are 15 years later, married still, and happily married, and romantically in love still, believe it or not, and our 10-year-old daughter, and we love to travel. That's about it. Did I even answer your question? I just kind of went on a tangent.
Yeah. So what were you doing for work after you got done with, you know, college? After you finished your studies?
So after university, it was really hard after university. I got married right away. So I think my graduation day, a month later, I was getting married. I got married at 22. I was very young. I knew when I met him when I was 19, I knew that I would marry him. So it was just, why wait? And I moved to Spain with him right away. So I didn't really get to do anything with my degree. I wasn't in Canada where the degree was valid. It was not valid in Spain. So I had to start. I've always been forced, if I look at my life and its trajectory, I was always forced to start at ground zero for so many times, which has really made me have a thick skin. Mm-hmm. And so I had to go back to Spain, when I went to Spain for the first time, married, 22 years old, I had a degree, but it was nothing. It was like I was one of everybody else. I had to just apply for a job. The good thing I had, obviously, was the English language. So I got a job right away within a week at an English academy, teaching English to all these little Spanish kids after school. It was a private academy, and I loved it. You know, I loved sharing something that I knew. I think at the end of the day, when you're helping or serving or sharing any of your knowledge with anybody, it's just so fulfilling. So I did that for many years. We moved back to Canada because the economy took a huge dive in Europe in 2006. So we moved back to Canada in 2006. And then again, I was at ground zero because, I had a degree in 2002, but I didn't do anything further with it. I wasn't in the workforce. So here I am, 26 years old, living in my parents' basement, married, thinking, what am I going to do? My husband doesn't have his paperwork. He doesn't speak a word of English. By the way, my husband spoke zero English. Zero. We met and we only speak in Spanish. So I was like, oh God, what do we do? Then I got pregnant with our daughter, and here I am. My husband didn't have his papers. He was he was a landed immigrant. I was making minimum. So I found a job making minimum wage at a preschool. I was making like $9 an hour. Wow. Pregnant in my parents' basement. At that point, I can tell you, my husband and I looked at each other. What did we do? We had a great life in Spain. We came here to get ahead. We're 10 steps behind. We just felt so lost. So lost. And in Spanish, there's a saying that says a baby comes with a baguette under its arms, which just means a baby comes with a lot of abundance in every area of life. So I just believed in that saying. I believed in God. I believed that this path was the path I needed to take, and I trusted it. So 9 months in to my pregnancy, my husband was in university learning English for those 9 months. He found a job in his trade, so he's a woodworker. He found a really great job working for a man who took him under his wings to teach him, the carpentry here in Canada, which was different in Spain. We found a really great home that somebody was a model home, so we moved out of my parents' basement. I don't know, everything just started going well, right? Everything just started I had this huge hope again, this belief. And then when my daughter was born, I fell in love I wanted to get myself in shape because I had always been overweight, and I used to eat and drink a lot, and I used to smoke back in Spain, and something about having her in my body was like, I want to teach her something really good around fitness and health, but I have to prove it to myself first that I can do it. So I got in the best shape of my life. I found a passion for health and fitness. I became a certified personal trainer, and everything kind of just exploded from then. And then I started my own business online, writing meal plans for people, coaching people through lifestyle, mind and body, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That is so awesome. I mean, I love your story. I was getting chills while you were talking especially about the baby coming with abundance. I love that. There's always a reason for everything. So that's so exciting. And you might not have ever found fitness if it weren't for her, right?
Absolutely.
So whenever you started this online business of meal planning, I mean, this was new back then. This was brand new. This was uncharted territory. It wasn't popular. Now it's everybody's doing that, right? But I mean, how did you know what to do,
I was working at a gym, and I was working 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Sunday. And, I just got this job, and I was super excited. And like I told you, my dad taught me, if you want anything in life, you got to work hard at it. So I was like, I have to work these hours, and I have to pay these bills, and I have to just do it. I just woke up and did it. It was like, to do it. But it came to a point where my clients were I was a personal trainer. It came to a point that the clients that were getting amazing results were the ones who were following my advice in terms of nutrition. And so I just started putting one and one together, going, wow, these people are with me 3 hours a week. And the ones that are getting amazing results are the ones who are emailing me their food diaries, the ones who are taking my advice, the ones who are going for lunch with me and asking me questions, the ones who want a grocery store tour with me. I was doing everything for my clients because I just wanted them to be successful. I was just not going to account reps, because when I look at so many personal trainers out there, I just see them counting reps. Anybody can do that. But I really wanted my clients to be successful. So I started being very popular in the area, and I had a wait list, and I couldn't give myself more hours. There were no more hours in a day for me to take on more clients. So I thought, well, what if I write them up a workout schedule and a meal plan, and I would send it off to them. And these clients were getting, if not the same amount of success as the others, but even more success, because they had me more one-on-one 24 hours a day online, where these other clients only had me 3 hours a week. The other, if I had them 1 hour a day, the other 23 hours, they had to keep their own hand out of the cookie jar, right?
Yes.
So I had more of that online connection and presence with them. And then I had people outside of the city who wanted me, and then a New York Times bestseller who's done really well in marketing. When she was getting a lot of success with me, she would start telling me about my name, and then it organically happened that way. I did not have a website. I sent everybody live Word documents. Nothing was a PDF. Nothing had a logo. Nothing had anything. I did everything backwards. And it came to the point where I said to my husband after 4 years of working at the gym and doing this simultaneously, I said, wow, I've made more this month on these online people paying me for this service that I'm doing that I'm actually making showing up at the gym every day. I think it's time to make the switch. And I did. I jumped off the cliff, built the plane on the way down because I was scared shitless. I was so scared to say that on here because it's mommies, but I was so scared. But I always knew that I had a safety net of support of my husband, not a financial safety net, but like a hope. I always knew that no matter what, it was going to happen. And if that didn't happen, then I would go and do something else. I was never scared of, anything. My father worked at Ford. I would clean houses if I needed to pay for my family to be successful in life. So I knew that this was the right way to go.
That is so awesome. I mean, I think what stands out is that you had a belief in yourself. So you knew no matter what happened, like you could pick yourself back up. You could learn anything you needed to in order to survive.
Absolutely.
And so that's huge. So what was your, I know are you still doing that? Because I know you've transitioned over into network marketing. So are you?
Network marketing I'm not doing that anymore because it took so much time and so much hand holding and so much, it was a lot of energy. And the network marketing company that I'm with now, it was the perfect synergy to what I'm doing. So I'm still doing the same thing, but in another way. I'm still getting people their amazing results. I'm still online training, but it's mostly through the 99% through my network marketing company.
That's awesome. And why did you decide to go the network marketing route besides, that it did, leverage your time, but what makes you excited about network marketing and that you're like, you can attach your name to it?
First and foremost, it was the product, getting that product in my body and saying, wow, I don't have to cook 10 chicken breasts, 10 tilapia and carry cold Tupperwares around and eat it in the car, right? That was like number one for me and my clients. I said, well, this is an amazing solution for this issue because that was the number one issue that I had with my clients. They would do great month one, great month two. And come month three, they were like, do I have to see another chicken breast? Or do I have to carry this Tupperware around? Or I was traveling and I didn't have time to food prep 7 hours on a Sunday. How can we get around these issues? So I was just looking for a really great solution to help deal with those issues. A lot of the same things still are at play. We still have daily movement. We still make sure we have a high protein based diet. All of those things are still the same, but I found a really easy and convenient solution to then plug into that lifestyle that I helped people and I still help people create.
That's awesome. Now, what would you say is like your motto for life?
Oh my God. Nobody's ever asked me that. Work hard, play harder.
Ooh. I like that. You work hard and you're like, I'm like, I always want to go play with you. You're always.
No, people say that. I do. We work our tails off, but my husband and I celebrate more than anybody I know. We will find a reason to celebrate anything. Like, oh, one more rep at the gym today. Let's go for a glass of wine tonight. Oh, it's the third time we met at that bar in Spain 4 years ago. Let's go celebrate. Or we just love. But then right now I must admit we have been on the celebration train too long. And we both said yesterday, I said to him last night, I said, I'll see you in a month. He goes, I'll see you in a month. Because we both are going to put our heads in our sand in both of our separate businesses and just, he said, I won't be eating dinner with you for the next month. And I'm fine with that, right? And so we're going to just both go like this because we know that in exactly 4 weeks, we're going to have 2 weeks together in Spain again, and it'll be time for celebration. So you do, I always say don't look at the highlight reels on Instagram because you're not always seeing what's going on behind the scenes. People don't know that I'm up at 5 a.m. People don't know how early I get my workout in. People don't see that. So I would definitely say work hard, play harder.
Well, let's talk about that because I think people do see all the glory, right? But you just said your husband's okay with you going, I'll see you in a month because mama's got goals right now. So what does that look like? I mean, for you guys, like, is it just like a negotiation you guys have that you made a long time ago? Like, hey, we're both ambitious and we got, like we're going to sometimes have to, sacrifice time together in order to get stuff done. I mean, what does that look like? I think that's
I think it's just communication is something that communication is my favorite word. Whether they're crucial conversations, ugly conversations, beautiful conversations. I just had one with a good friend the other day. I'll give you this quick. When I was in California with my good friend Lori, we are both going to Spain together, and we had this conversation about, because we've never traveled together. I've been at her house, she's been at my house, but we've never both traveled together. And everybody has their own expectations or their own ideas of what they want to do or what they don't want to do on vacation. But if you don't communicate that to one another, it can be the most simplest thing. Like maybe Lori doesn't want to go to a bullfight. So I came out and asked her, is this something that you would like to see or not like to see? What if I went to buy tickets, assume that she would want to go, and that's something that totally goes against everything she believes in? Or what if she hates siestas? Or what if she loves, or what if she wants to totally have downtime? And I've, every single day said, we're going to a new city because I want you to see the most of Spain possible. So we had the conversation, and we were both so happy that we had that conversation. I feel like so many people make so many assumptions about what other people think that, don't make an ass out of you and me. My mom used to always teach me that, the word assumption, ass out of you and me, spell it out. But so my husband and I have always been very open. Okay. And I say to him, he knows I hate the morning, and that I need time in the morning for me before I can even communicate with the world, which means meditation, which means endorphins, whether it's a walk or a workout or yoga. And you and I both love that, agreed. So that happens for me. And so he does the morning routine. He wakes our daughter up. He makes her lunch for school, and he takes her to school. Literally, she gives me a hug and a kiss in the morning. That's it. I can't do anything else with her. And he knows that. I now pick her up every day at school. I do her homework with her. We have our after school snack together. I take her to dance. So we've just delegated what works best for each of us. He's a morning person. I'm not. He's busy in the afternoon. I have the luxury of working for myself, that I can leave at 3:00 and go pick her up at school and go to Starbucks and have a coffee date with her and ask her about her day and have mommy-daughter time. So it's just juggling that time, right?
Oh, that's so awesome. Now, what do you do with your daughter? Because you are in a push season in your business. So have you talked to her? Like, how does that look as being a mommy that's, ambitious?
Well, we're in a lucky situation. My daughter's a competitive dancer, and this season she dances every single night. So I literally pick her up, give her a snack, and she's at the dance studio until 9 p.m. every night.
Wow. So
I've just chosen to work my crazy push time. She's at school all day, and then she's at dance all night, right? So I'm going to be doing a lot of group. I'm be going to a lot of my team's houses this week. I have 4 what we call launch parties going on, where I'm helping them launch their business. And I get to do that during the day with some of the women who that works for. And tomorrow night I have one, and the following night I have one. And that's fine because my daughter's at dance. Yeah. She doesn't dance one day a week, which is Friday night. And I'll just make sure that we don't have anything in terms of the business that night. We'll do something with her.
I think that's important because it's, you've set her up to be busy doing that too. Yes. At the same time. So like you created that. And I think that's important for moms. Like if you know that you're going to be overwhelmed with mommy issues, like get your kids involved in things that they like and don't feel bad about it. And if money is an excuse, money should never be an excuse. You find the money, you work hard for that money so your kids can do whatever they want to do, right?
100%. Like, I mean, if it wasn't competitive dance, it'd be recreational dance, or it would be, you find what works for you in your budget. You know what I mean? And yeah, you're right. It's part of her life, and she's 10 years old. She just doesn't want to hang around with me all day anyway. She has her own little bubble of life, right? So what is it that you want to do today? And obviously we have tons of family time. That kid gets to travel more than any other kid I know. You just saw her in Vegas. She was there with a bunch of adults, and she's loving it. So sometimes children have to understand that when you're busy, and it's, last night she said something to me. I said, I'm sorry, I'm working right now. Can you ask your dad? She's like, okay, I'll ask him. But then, she knows that she's going to Europe again. She's coming to Spain with us in a month. So she knows that. She's aware. We communicate that to her.
I love that. Now, have you had like let's say like an aha moment, like in motherhood and business? Is there something that you're just like, okay, it finally clicked and you said, okay, I need to be a better communicator, or, you know, I need to get her in dance. Like, was there a moment like that, you know, where you were maybe feeling some mommy guilt and then this happened and you're like, I'm over it. I don't feel the guilt anymore.
Oh, I'm going to be honest, because I hope you want honesty here.
Be honest.
I have never had mommy guilt, and I hear it I've never had mommy guilt, and it's because I think it may stem from the fact that I never wanted children. I'm a very independent woman. I was raised and born as like, whatever you want in life, you go get it, right? You know, I had very, very strict parents growing up, like to the nth degree. I was never allowed to sleep over at anybody's house. I don't know what a sleepover is. I was not allowed to stay out past, I had a curfew, even when I was 18 years old. I was brought up very, very strictly. And I remember my second year of university, and this is university, I went home to my parents and said, my professor thinks that I should study abroad next year. And my parents were like, no way in hell that's going to happen. And I remember every single night saying, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. You know, what is it, God, that I need to do to prove to them that this is something? And I remember having conversations with them every day about how important this was for me, for my growth, for everything. And they said, okay, and they laughed at me. They said, if you raised $10,000 before you go, because I had to pay for my apartment, I had to pay for university, I had to pay for the plane tickets. And literally I had maybe a year to make this $10,000. They said, if you make that, we'll match it and you can go. And them laughing inside saying, Rita will never do this. I found a job at a farm picking rocks. I worked with my dad at Ford on the night shift, 10-hour shifts on Ford on the line, like putting screws in cars. They hired students for 89 days. I was selling cheese after school at this local market. I babysat, so I raised that money, and they couldn't believe it, and they couldn't say no. And they like, how could they say no to that, right? So I went to Spain, and I was like, I did it, right? And that was a huge thing for me. But back to just being a very independent go-getter. My husband and I never wanted children. Adiana was like a quote-unquote mistake, and obviously the best mistake that's ever happened in my life, so please don't take that the wrong way. But I always knew that by leading by example, I would be showing this little person beside me from birth on that I'm going to show her by example, right? In every single thing that I do, because I want to raise a strong, independent woman as well. And that was the best way. And that's the best way I know how. So I've never had guilt. I've never had an aha moment where I'm like, oh, you know, I just practice what I preach and live the best that I can by example.
I love that. And I think you knew from day one what your mission was as being a mom. And I think that that's sometimes where moms get stuck, is they don't have that mission in the beginning. And so
Yes.
then you find it later on, and then they start to struggle with that guilt. Because I know that was me for sure. So, I mean, I think that's just an important point to go to, is like, mommies, like, you need to have a mission with your children. Like, what do you want them to grow up and be? And you're saying you want a strong, independent woman. Well, you're definitely like, you know, because they do what you do. They don't do what you say, you know? So I love that.
100%. And you know what I always say, you know, as I was training women, and when I do deal with women, because they all come to me for weight loss, but that's always the excuse. We always delve deeper into other things. Mm-hmm. And you know, I always say, they tell you on the plane, I just got off like 4 planes, put your oxygen mask on before you help others, right? And I love that saying, because if you feel fulfilled as a woman, if you feel abundant in all areas of life, if you feel, you know, attractive, if you feel like you need to go to the gym to get that hot body on or get the endorphins, and you want to go and get your hair done, and you want to get your nails done, and that's going to make you feel great, I say more power to you, because you're going to be a happy wife, happy life. You're going to be at that home. Women are at the core of our house. You know that. If you're a little bit off, Cayla, and you got a big household, I'm sure everybody's off. When I'm a little bit off, my husband tiptoes around me. My daughter's scared of me. When I'm good and I'm at peace and I'm in abundance and part of my abundance is serving others and being very successful in my business, because that is a huge part of me, and that drives me personally. It's not going to drive everybody out there, right? But that's what works for me. I guess what my advice would be to everybody is find out what works for you and do it without any guilt.
Oh,
right? That's it.
and sometimes like we're waiting for permission, but it's like, just go and do you, go and do you. So have you had any like wall kicking moments in building, you built 2 successful online businesses? Has there been any like, oh my gosh, like you just kicked the wall, but what has been the lesson learned from it that you can share with everybody?
God, I learn every day. So, I mean, wall kicking moment. Trying to think of this one.
I know for me, I'll give you an example. For me, one of my wall kicking moments was when I thought that I had to be everything to everybody. And when I decided that I was going to, do what I was very good at, and there's only about 3 or 4 things that I am really good at, and not everybody else is as good at that. But when I realized that, because I was just so overwhelmed, burned out, crazy, like thought I was gonna have a nervous breakdown building this business, and then it's like I picked those 3 to 4 things and I focused on that all the time. And now I just like, I find other people that are good at what I'm bad at, and I bring those people in and, let them take over. I don't try to do everything anymore. Like one of the things, like I like, I'm a wellness coach too. So it's like, I'm not very good at like cleanse coaching people, so I bring in a lot of cleanse coaches because I don't want to do that. And then I bring people in and I put them under them. And that's what I do. But if you need an encourager, you need a motivator, that's where people come into my lane, because I'm like, I can do that, So that was a wall kicking moment because I always, I didn't like to delegate. I wanted to do everything myself because I thought I was the best. So like that, if that kind of gives you an example,
I love that. I think that's amazing. I think for me, it's just allowing more of because I've always been a sole proprietor and I've always been my vision is always like extreme and everything in life. I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it all the way. When I was 40 pounds heavier and I looked at the very first Oxygen magazine, I never said, I bought that magazine every month, and I think that most women, this is a confident woman. One woman would say, one day I'd like to look like that. This is what I said to myself about that. I said, one day I'm going to be on that cover. This is a 40-pound overweight woman who was my first day at the gym, but I was reading these magazines long enough, and that's the kind of belief that I've always had in myself. I don't know if it was God who gave it to me and my parents or the way I was raised, but when I looked at that magazine, I didn't say I want to look like that. I didn't say I wanted to be in the magazine. I said I wanted to be on the cover. And you know that I've been on the cover. So, and I've graced, 7 different international fitness magazines and so with that, I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know where I'm going. I'm very, very, very boom. Like Rita has a goal and she's going to get it with or without the people around me. And I think for me, especially in the network marketing business, I can't do it alone. This is the only thing in my life, Cayla, well, apart from parenting, but you can parent alone, but you cannot do alone. You cannot do this alone. You need your team. You need support. It's kind of like what you just said. You're not great at everything, so you need people with you who are good at the things that are going to fill the holes in. And for me, it's all about team now. And the first year of my network marketing business, I was awarded as top enroller, but it was like bittersweet because I was like, yeah, this is great. I've enrolled the most amount of people, woohoo! But my team was 0. Right? Like I had 1 executive. So how can you enroll the most amount of people in your entire company globally, and then all of a sudden have like 1 consultant? It didn't match up because I wasn't working with people. I wasn't locking arms with people. I wasn't meeting people where they were at. It was like, if you don't have Rita's vision, you're not with me. And my vision is like not everybody's vision, right? And not everybody wants what I want. Not everybody's as crazy as I am. So, it's the last past, I'd say 8 months to a year has been just linking arms with people. It's been meeting people where they're at. It's been team building. It's been taking a huge step back from enrolling everybody and just really focusing on those people who really want another way.
I love that. And I think the lesson there is you have to be adaptable to whatever it is that you're doing. You can't just be stuck in your ways. You have to be willing to try something new. And if that doesn't work, then try something new. but sometimes Rita's way isn't going to be the best way, and I mean, I think that that's an amazing lesson learned. And that's why I love network marketing so much, because it teaches you to be in community with other people. And I think that's when you're the happiest too, is like when, I don't know if you would agree, like when you're in community and you're connected with amazing people all the time, I mean, you feel more fulfilled,
Yeah, your energy, their energy, the collaboration. Last night, every Monday night, we have our team Zoom, and we're all on there, and I was exhausted because I flew on the red eye Sunday night, so I got home yesterday, and all I thought of all day was kind of like looming over my head. I was like, oh, I got to jump on the computer tonight. I want to go to bed right now. I want to do this right now. I just want to put my pajamas on the couch. It was my travel day.
Yeah.
And, we got on that Zoom, and as always, when I'm off of it like an hour and a half later, I was like, oh, I'm so energized. I feel so good. I could go run a marathon. I wish we could keep talking. And my husband's looking at me. He's like, you say this all the time, right? It's like, I don't know. And absolutely being in community and feeding off of each other and knowing that you're not alone. And, we all have the exact same problems and same success and same everything. But it's if you don't communicate that with each other, then you'll never know.
I love that. Now, you said earlier that your dad is one of the people that you look up to. What would be another mentor in your life?
It would be my mom. So it's my mom and dad. I could go much further than the four walls that I'm living in right now. And they're gracious enough to, my husband and I are living in their granny suite while we're building our house. So they're always there for us. But it's my parents. Like my dad, from one spectrum of coming from, nothing. And he came to Canada with one suitcase. And if you ask him now, he's like, I live on the best street in my city. He goes, I have the smallest house on the best street in my city, but I live on the best street in my city. And he's proud because he says, I'm a Ford worker, and he's just very humble. And as I said, just one of the hardest workers I know. And then my mom as well. She raised my sister and I, and so she got married when she was 18. She got pregnant when she was 19. So she just finished high school. And her whole life she wanted to go back to school, and she did. And she went back to school, and she got a master's. She got her master's of divinity. So she actually studied through university just like a priest would. So she got the exact same degree that a priest does. It's called your master's of divinity. And my mom is just so well versed in so many things. And she's in the newspaper every week because she's our top fundraiser in the city. And she goes and goes and goes and goes. And she's just like, and I think that the powerhouse and the just go-getter, and that's where I get it from. Oh, yeah. And my mom she doesn't stop, and she's 64, and she just retired in June, and she's actually at work today because she just took on a new contract. I said, Mom, you haven't been retired for a month. She's like, I know, but this contract needs me. These people need me. She's always about that, and it's just to watch her, it's just like in awe of her. So I would say definitely my mom and dad.
I love that, because I mean, being on the Mommy Millionaire, channel, and it's just like your relationship to your kids is so important, and you have to make sure that they're watching your every move. So make sure it's something worth watching, and make sure it's what you want them to be doing. I love that. So I guess that leads me into my next question, which is, okay, let's say everything you've ever done is erased. Okay, so you've been on the Oxygen, you've been on several magazine covers, and you've rocked it, nice bod, and just amazing. That's gone. Everything you've ever done is gone. Okay, but you can tell your daughter 3 things, life tips. What would they be? What would those 3 things be?
Man, that's hard, isn't it? I think number 1, it would be to follow her inner passion, no matter what. If her inner calling, if she has this inner calling to be a vet, which she says she is, and that she's had that calling since she was born, and she's been telling us that since she was 2 years old, and it hasn't changed, that just the way that animals speak to her and she speaks to animals is, this other level. I would say to follow that passion and do what you want, because at the end of the day, no matter what, if you don't love what you do, that. It doesn't matter how much money you make, how little money you make, it doesn't matter if you have security or stability or whatever. If you don't wake up every day excited to get out of bed, then there's no point, right? So I would say to follow that passion no matter what obstacles are put in her way, because there's going to be obstacles becoming a vet. There's going to be 8 years of university, and there's going to be parties missed and social situations missed, and there's going to be lots of money towards that schooling, and there's going to be maybe you're going to go throw up when you do your first when you deliver the first horse. I don't know what you're going to do, right? There's going to be all these moments where you're going to want to stop and just keep going. So
I love that.
Does that count as one or two?
That counts as one.
Oh God, Cayla, you're hard.
It counts as one.
I would tell her to travel the world, because I would say I am the person I am today because of all of the cultural and multicultural experiences that I have been able to experience overseas and abroad, living alone. My parents sent me when I was 14, when I was 12 on a plane alone. The flight attendant picked me up and took me to my next city and all that. They were very, as strict as they were in our hometown, they were very globally not strict. So, when I would go to Italy and I'd be there with my dad, he'd say like, see you at midnight. I'm 14 years old. There's nobody on the streets at midnight. And he'd give me a key and give me money and say, and back home in Canada, it was like, I was a nun. So he was very, I think it's because it was his country and he knew what was going on and everything like that. But the experiences that I got to experience, the different cultures, the way I saw people live, the different foods, the different mindsets, have all made me who I am today. So I would definitely tell her travel cheaply, travel expensive, just make it work, because there's so many ways to travel right now, especially when you look at, Airbnb or home exchange. You can exchange your home for another home. That's huge. My husband and I are looking into that. There's so many ways to travel. So I would say go travel and experience, no matter what. Do it now. Don't wait for the perfect time. I see so many people who have, especially mommies out there. I can give this quick advice. When Ariana was 5 months old, we took her on a plane to Spain. We baptized her over there at the church where my mother-in-law was married at. It's a beautiful church, and we wanted our Spanish family there, so we baptized her there. People are like, she's 5 months old. What are you doing putting her on a plane? I'm like, she's going to adapt to my lifestyle, because I've always traveled, right? So I'm not going to stop my life now. Or I'm not going to feel guilty, or I'm not going to live in a box of what a mommy should look like. She's going to come on the plane with me. And I remember we went to a discotheque on that trip, because all my friends went to go on the beach. And we brought our daughter in her stroller, and my husband and I would take turns going in for a dance and a drink, and then going outside and moving the stroller. I know, it's a true story. And we had another friend who had a baby, and they were in the stroller there too. So European lifestyle, I would say, is more conducive and more accepting of bringing your newborns and your children out to the wee hours of the night. Whereas here in Canada, I would never think of going to like a bar with a stroller, or it doesn't make sense. It's just a different lifestyle there. So. So she has been on a plane. My daughter's 10 years old, and we made a list the other day. I said, look how lucky you are, look how blessed you are. I want you to write down every city you've been in. And the list, like the full stack was full, right? And she's 10. So I think that's abundance. So I would tell her to go travel and travel the world.
I love that. I want that for my kids too.
Right? It's so important. It's so important to get out of that bubble that we live in, that we think everything. And I think once you have a bigger perspective, those things that happen in your little bubble as a child are less important, because if somebody laughs at you at school, and that's your only bubble is your friends at school and the 3 friends that you hang around with, and that's it. That's your bubble. Anything that happens there is going to traumatize you. But if you have this huge other abundant life, like she has best friends who she's been dancing with for 5 years, if anything bad happens at school, she goes to dance every day, and they hug her and they cry it out with their dance friends, right? And then she knows she can jump on a plane, and my sister lives in Italy, and her uncle lives in Spain, and she's got cousins in Spain and cousins in Italy, and she spent her whole summer in this, with her cousins in Italy. And then she, so she has all these different outlets and ways of expressing herself and being able to be accepted and listened to by so many other people. And that's huge for me.
I love that. I never thought about it that way, but that is so true, because it's like, you realize there's a whole other world out there, that these little tiny things that happen don't really matter, because there's so much other life to be experienced. I love that. And you're teaching her that at a young age. So
it's huge, because even as adults, we get pulled into that. I'm just going to use, because we're both in the same network marketing company. And you know what it's like when you go to some of our events that are like 3-4 days and you're in the bubble, right? Because you don't know what's going on outside of that bubble. It's like everything is like you eat, sleep, and drink everything. So, and it's hard. I remember going to my first one and being like, oh, I want this, I want that, I want that. I want to be on stage. I want to be Cayla Craft. I want to be Kelly. I want, and you're in that bubble. And if that's the only bubble you have and you go back home, it's like, that's hard. But when you leave that bubble and it's a great bubble and that's affected you in such a positive way that you can then use a lot of the things that you learned in all those other aspects of your life, it's fantastic, right? But when you only use it and that's your only bubble, it's like, you leave that and it almost becomes an obsession when you only have one thing to focus on, right? But I think multifaceted lives are what make us, who we are.
And you just, when you live that way, it's just, you're living in abundance,
Yes.
So you're really fulfilled. I love that. All right. What's your last tip for her?
I would say no matter how crazy or like out of this world you think a dream or a goal is, just do it. And tell me about it. You can tell your mom anything. Just tell me and we'll work it out together. Like it's going to happen, right? So just believe in that universe and they're making vision boards today at school. So last night after dance, we were printing things off on the computer and, for her vision. And, she knows, back to the sleepover thing. It's funny because we're on the mom show and we do what we're taught. So I was never allowed to sleep over at anybody's house. So I remember being like 10 years old and yelling at my mom and saying, "You're so unfair. Everybody's sleeping over but me. When I have children one day, they're going to be able to sleep over everywhere." And of course, you know that I did not let my daughter sleep over anywhere because that's just ways. And so on Ariana's vision board amongst, she got a little girl praying and she said she wants to get closer to God and all these things. It was such a beautiful thing. And one of them was this big group of girls all in pajamas. And I said, well, that's where she was one day. I'm going to have a slumber party, right? And I was like, oh my God, my heart melted. But you know what? She made me think, and maybe for her birthday next year, I will allow, 10 girls to sleep over and make that special, right? So I wanted to show her that this vision board that she's created, that everything can come true, right? So that she can dream and keep dreaming and keep dreaming. So.
Oh, I love that. That's so special.
Thank you.
So, okay, so what, I want to see pictures actually from that sleepover. I want to see proof.
Okay.
I'm the same way. My kids, the only place they can stay over is at my brother and sister-in-law's house. That's it. Because and I used to sleep over at people's house all the time, but it's just weird. It's a weird day and age, and I'm just like, I just want you in my bubble.
It's true. And, people say you're overprotective. And I said, you know what? She can go to the sleepover. She can actually get her pajamas on, and she can stay till 11, then I'll go pick her up. Nothing good happens after that. She has a bed to sleep in, right? And it's not even, I always say, I don't know who's over. I don't know if the older brother has a friend who's over. It's not that my daughter I don't trust. It's a lot of other people. So if you can do everything you can to keep your kids safe, especially in this day and age, especially as young as they are, I don't know if they're doing videos on Snapchat or where they're going to. I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to keep her as safe as possible for as long as possible.
That's awesome. Good mama. Okay, so what is exciting you right now? What's coming up for you? Like, in the next 5 years, where do you guys see your family?
Well, going back to the whole cultural and worldly thing, my husband and I are building a home right now in Spain, in his hometown in Spain. And we have, I should say, maybe I'm going to say this out loud, but we have a 3-year plan. 3 to 5. We gave it 5 tops. Could be as early as 2020 to actually move to Spain with our daughter. As our home base. And then obviously, hopefully by then our network marketing company will be there. But that's our goal, because of the lifestyle, because of simple things like, this may not be a big deal for you, but for me it is, GMOs are illegal in Europe. The food is different. They don't label things grass-fed. Everything is just grass-fed, right?
Yeah.
They actually label corn-fed because it's weird. So
I love that.
It's just, when I'm there, the food in my body, and you just said to me, like, you look the same, you look great after a month in Italy, even though I ate pizza and pasta every day. Here, I look at the pasta and my stomach's out to here, just the processing and everything. So, and I think North America is just going bad to worse. So I don't want my daughter to be written, I don't want her through her teenage years to have to deal with that. And then the whole drinking thing in Spain, it's because typically there's no legal drinking age. People are drinking when they're 14, 15, not because, and they're not getting drunk. They just have a drink here. They have a drink there because it's not a prohibited thing till they're 21, and then they just like go crazy, right? And that's not the only reason that we would move there. It's the weather, it's the mountains and the beach, and having all these different countries so close. You can jump on a train, a plane, or in a car, and you can be in Italy, Portugal, or France within, hours. The education system there is amazing. We've already looked into an international school for her. It's like, it's crazy. They go to school even on Saturdays. Religiously, it's not that it's not accepted here, but it's just very normal that, you go to a Catholic school and you wear a uniform and you're taught this and you're taught that. Religion is more Roman Catholicism, which I'm Roman Catholic, is more at the forefront of their upbringing. There's just so many amazing things that I can't speak enough of. So I'm excited about that. We're building the house right now. I'm excited about my business growing and my team. I'm excited about just getting up out of bed every day and just doing what I do. I just love life. I really, really, really do. I'm excited about going to Spain and for my brother-in-law's wedding next month. I'm excited about going to New York this fall. I haven't actually bought the tickets, but Daddy and I have never been to New York.
Aww.
I know, right? Crazy. And I love food.
Everywhere else.
What's that?
You guys have been everywhere else.
I know, but New York, and we love food and we love fashion. So I'm like, hello, yes. We're going to go. And I'm just excited about so many things coming up. I feel like I'm in a good vortex right now, and I don't want it to end.
I love that. Well, it doesn't have to. It can keep going. And I think that you're just teaching your daughter to live life excited. Like if you're not excited about life, something's wrong. So change it,
Yeah.
So I think that like sometimes like, other moms don't do that. So I think you're just a huge inspiration. I just want to honor you for being that mom and just owning that, like that you are a strong, independent woman, and you want to teach your daughter to be that same thing, and you're owning it, and you're not caring what the world's saying about it. You're just doing it you. And I think, that she's beautiful. And I mean, I couldn't believe how she's just so mature for being 10.
Yeah, I know.
And so I think you're just raising a beautiful daughter, and I'm just so excited to see what kind of impact she has on the world because you guys are her parents. So good job. And
thank you.
I mean, is there anything else you want to say to all the Mommy Millionaire viewers? Because a lot of people that watch this are people that are trying to build a business.
Okay. Well, they can all build a business. I can tell you that. If you want it, you can get it. I think in terms of upbringing your children and doing what you want, you're going to make mistakes no matter what. So you're going to make mistakes if you're following your passion, or you're going to make mistakes if you're sitting on the couch wondering why you're living in fear. You're going to make mistakes. So wouldn't you rather make those mistakes while you're pursuing your dreams? Wouldn't you rather make those mistakes while you're setting an example for your children? Wouldn't you rather make those mistakes and have abundance along the way, rather than making those mistakes living in fear, making those mistakes sitting on the couch, making those mistakes not going and getting your dreams because you feel guilty, or you think or you perceive that your children one day will, say you didn't spend enough time with me, when we know it's always quality over quantity. So yeah, I would say you're going to make mistakes no matter what. Go and do what you love. Or, somebody wrote, I saw this on somewhere today. It was that thing that you think you should do and that thing that scares you, go do it, right? Like if it's scaring you and it's calling your name, then just go do it.
You just gave me chills and tears in my eyes. I love it. It's so true. So thank you so much for being on. This is going to be up here for everybody, just working on their mindset. And I'm just so excited to just help more and more mommies step into their power and own, wanting more for their lives and wanting more for their children's lives. And I think the more and more that we can call out women that are doing that, the more that other women are going to step into that and just rock the world and impact it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cayla. This was awesome.